Hello, and welcome to the Babe Bulletin podcast, where we talk self love, empowerment, boudoir, and anything else that makes us feel like a total babe. I am Alicia. I run Bucks and Boudoir, and we've been going for 8 years now. We just had our 8 year anniversary, so I would hope at this point I'm kind of an expert on these things, and I am excited to share what I know with you. If you have been following the Babe Bulletin podcast, you probably noticed that in December we took a very long break, and I just quickly wanted to touch on why. At the end of November, my husband and I thought, oh, we'll take a break for Thanksgiving, and then that ended up being a much longer break. Dustin, my husband, is the producer of this podcast. The Babe Bulletin would not exist without him, and unfortunately, in December, at the start of the month, his mother had an accident and then passed away. So we spent the month grieving and being with family, and that is why there were not any new podcast episodes. This just didn't feel like enough of a priority compared to everything else that was going on. So thank you to everybody who reached out and sent us well wishes, people who were sending us help and their love, and we just appreciate all of that very much. And I just wanted to quickly touch on why we were on hiatus for so long. But we're back now, and we're just going to keep going because that's really all that we can do. So, I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to share what I know about being a total babe with all of you and this podcast and get back into shooting and all of that. So, before we took this break, I had asked in my Facebook group and on my social media for questions from people. Like, what do you guys want to know about boudoir or self-love or body neutrality? And I had a couple of people send me some really, really good questions. So let's finally jump into what you guys want to know. Let's start with some questions that Leah sent. So thank you, Leah. I want to jump into this first one, which is, why do we struggle with self-love? That's a big question. She asked another one about, does society play a role in our self-image? And I'm going to kind of discuss those two together. So when it comes to self-love and self-image, society does play a big role, and I think that might be the biggest reason that we struggle so much with ourselves and our bodies, specifically because we exist in capitalism, and there's a lot of money to be made off of not feeling very good about ourselves. I'm going to throw just a couple of bummer stats at you so you kind of know where all of this is coming from. 80% of American girls that are aged 10 have already been on a diet, and they feel stressed out about how they look. Most girls start dieting by the age of 8. And these stats are a little bit older, but I still think they're really relevant. These next ones are from like the 90s. I personally think that we've maybe even gotten a little more restrictive on how we expect people to look. So I would not be surprised if these stats are around the same. 51% of 9 and 10-year-old girls feel better about themselves if they're on a diet. 46% of 9 to 11-year-olds are sometimes or very often on diets. And another stat that I recently read was that 95% of diets fail in the first 1 to 5 years, which I knew that and I've talked about that, but 20% of those become eating disorders. So there is an immense amount of pressure put onto people, especially young people and especially young girls, to look a certain way, to be a certain weight, to have a certain level of thinness, and for no reason other than it looks good. 10-year-olds are not worried about their cholesterol levels, right? 10-year-olds are not worried about blood pressure. So where is this obsessiveness over thinness coming from? It's literally just the aesthetic that they want. And that doesn't go away as we get older. An 8-year-old who starts dieting becomes a 40-year-old who keeps dieting. It doesn't go away. So the diet industry and this pressure that as a culture we put onto people to be thin has a huge it is a huge detriment to our own personal self-love. And I touched on, capitalism there for a second. The anti-aging industry was valued at $47 billion in 2023 and is expected to grow nearly 80 billion in by the beginning of the next decade. So, anti-aging stuff, being told that we always have to look perpetually young, that's a huge stressor. The diet culture industry in the US is worth roughly like 72.6 billion, and that's expected to grow almost 41 billion by 2033. And this is because we see this a lot through diet programs, workout classes being sold strictly for losing weight, personal coaches who are pushing weight loss stuff. And then now we have medical weight loss drugs literally everywhere. There is no escape from it. I am bombarded constantly with ads about GLP-1s. Like, this industry is booming. So you start to look at who's making money and who's profiting off of our insecurities and see what kind of narrative they're pushing and see if that narrative is detrimental to self-love. Most of the time, yeah, it is. So that's why I think we struggle so much. There is no escaping it, especially now with social media. So many of us are glued into content that there is no getting away from the message that you would be better if, you would feel better if, you would look better if. And most of it is bull. It's just not true. So when we're constantly being bombarded with these messages, yeah, we're going to struggle with self-love. Unless you have an incredible relationship with yourself, it's really hard not to feel beaten down by constant outward messages. And then on top of that, if you don't have a supportive partner, or if you've got friends who comment on your body, if you are going to school and you're being bullied by someone, now you've got people directly in your life who are making it difficult as well. So I think there are a lot of reasons why people struggle with self-love, but those to me are the biggest. It's society, it's culture, it's the constant bombardment of messages that we need to be X amount of pounds in order to have value. And these messages are pushed on both men and women, but I really feel like women take the brunt of it. And it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. So then Leah wanted to know, how can I overcome the daily struggles of self-love? And my apologies if I'm misunderstanding the question, but when I read that, I'm interpreting it to mean, how can I overcome the daily struggle of not loving myself? Self-love is a struggle. I'm not very good at it. I want to be better at it. And how do I deal with that? So that's how I'm going to answer this question. And hopefully I'm answering it the way that you meant. But when we're struggling with self-love, I think the first thing we can do is recognize when it's happening. And it happens to all of us, okay? When that inner critic, that voice, that whatever shows up and you're starting to kind of spiral and question your value as a person, I want you to investigate that voice a little bit and actually question the voice that's harming you. Is it even your voice? Is that really you talking right now, or is it someone else? Is that voice maybe your mom or your grandma who constantly make comments about your body? Is that voice a bully from school? Is that voice an ex-partner maybe? I'd be willing to bet that it's not really you and that it's actually someone else talking to you. So I would get curious about where that voice is coming from. And then question it and ask, is this lying to me? Because there's a pretty good chance it is. And why? Why is that voice lying to you? If it is lying to you, then what's the actual truth? And then you get to turn that truth into an affirmation or some kind of statement about neutrality. And that's how we start kind of rewiring and rethinking and getting curious about where this struggle is actually coming from. On top of that, I want you to go out and just do kind things for yourself. I want you to work yourself into your to do list and your daily routine. This is practice, right? Practice makes perfect. I don't know about perfect, but practice makes better. And that's all we can do is just better every day. I hope you're a little bit kinder to yourself, or every day I hope you bounce back from struggles of self love a little bit faster. I think that's a great goal. So, no, it doesn't have to be all of the time with the self love, and that's an impossible goal as well. But when you think about it, if you don't water a plant, what happens to the plant? It dies. And the same goes for the relationship that you have with yourself. So, yeah, take yourself out on a date. Try a new hobby. Explore your needs. Explore your wants. See your friends. Try therapy. I don't know. This is your chance to explore a little bit and see what you like, see what you don't like, and work that into a daily routine or maybe a weekly routine to start and see where it goes. When we want to build a better relationship with ourselves, we got to put a little bit of effort in, just like any relationship with any person. So I would encourage you to go out and do some exploring. Question that voice and then do nice things for yourself. Those two things together will be really helpful. So thank you, Leah, for all of the questions. Okay, next up, Lynn sent us a few questions. She wants to know, are self-care and self-love the same thing? No, they're not. One is actionable and typically the result of the other. So when you love yourself, you're going to take actions to care for yourself better, right? So self-care, those would be the actions that we take that go above and beyond the necessary actions we need to survive. These would be, self-care would be things like, I don't know, things that just make us happier, healthier, better people. All right, that's self-care. And those are the actionable results of self-love. Now, some people, I want to note really quick, okay, some people confuse self-care with what I call basic care. A shower is not self-care unless you're going above and beyond and you're making it like an experience. So maybe you're lighting candles and you put on your favorite music and you bought some like cool shower bomb that like releases essential oils into the air. I don't know. You've made it like this fun experience for you. It's almost like a spa day. Awesome. We love that. If you're a new mom and you're grabbing a 5-minute shower in between feedings, that's not self-care. That is basic care. That is just what you need to survive. Humans need to be clean. We do not thrive when we are dirty. We get sick. Bad things can happen. Our skin gets irritated. We can physically be in pain, okay? So cleaning yourself, basic care. That's just a need that we require to get by in life. Self-love, all right, so then going back to self-love, that's a relationship that we have with ourselves. So that would be appreciating yourself, being kind to yourself, recognizing your worth, appreciating your value, things like that. It's an abstract concept. And then the concrete actions we take, that's self-care. So self-love, abstract concept, the relationship that we have ourselves, and when our self-love is thriving and doing well and we have a lot of it, then the actionable steps that will probably also be doing well and we'll have a lot of that self-care. So I hope that makes sense. She also wants to know what then blocks self-love. And we just kind of touched on this because Leah sort of wanted to know the same thing. There are a lot of outward influences that can really impact the way we inwardly feel about ourselves. So the way that parents talk to you, the way friends talk to you, significant others, all of that can block you from growing your self-love. Even if you want to love yourself, being perpetually harmed can just destroy your self-esteem. And the societal pressures to be thin, young, perfect, all of that is very detrimental to self-love. So those are some things to watch for and acknowledge. And if they're happening more and more often, then maybe that means something in our life needs to change so that we can care for ourselves and take care of us. And then she wants to know, what are some strategies to make self love a daily practice? I just touched on this briefly in Leah's question too. I want you to add it to your to do list. Make self care a part of your routine. Make self love a part of your routine. Set reminders on your phone. I just downloaded an app called Finch. I don't know if anybody has seen this app. I've been playing around with it a little bit, and it gives you tasks kind of based on a questionnaire that you fill out. And my tasks, for example, are very self care and self love related, as well as just some movement stuff, some things to get me kind of up and away from my desk. And as you tick them off, you make this really cute little bird happy, and the little bird goes on adventures, and it's very cute and it's very sweet. And I think it's very helpful, especially if you're like, I don't really know where to start. I don't have a routine. I don't do nice things for myself. I would recommend checking it out and seeing if maybe taking care of a little cute virtual bird is the push you need in more self care for yourself. I think starting small is really the way to go. And just like any habit, it is going to eventually become second nature. I don't think this is something that we need to punish ourselves if we don't work it into every single day of our life. That's just not going to happen. Some days are really busy, and some days self love is just not a priority, and that's okay because something else is. But start small, play around a little bit, maybe check out Finch or something like it, right? Some kind of to do list, and then just do little things here and there. My app has me take 3 deep breaths. One of the options is to stretch. There's one that says do something that makes me happy. One of them is listen to a song that I love. So, you can kind of create your own, and just these little tiny moments are a really great way to make self love a daily practice. So, thank you, Lynn, for sending in those questions. And then we've got Jennifer, who wanted to know 2 things. Her first question wasn't really a question. She just wanted to know the top 10 tips for building confidence, which is a really great question. And I have answers to stuff like this kind of on my blog. So if you're looking for confidence recommendations and strategies and probably really any of this stuff, I've got tons of ideas on my blog. So you can go check that out. But for building body confidence, I got 10 recommendations for you. I would start with self-love rituals and making sure that those are built into your daily routine, like we just talked about. Maybe it's an affirmation, maybe it's a mindful practice, or it's a little pampering session. I don't know. But I think taking time for yourself and for your body is really a non negotiable at this point. Also, I would continuously learn stuff about your body, how it moves, how it grooves, even stuff that have nothing to do with your body. That's just going to create confidence in general. So as you engage with new ideas and you gain new skills, you're just going to feel like a more competent, well-rounded person. So do a little bit of learning, do a little bit of exploring. Also, set boundaries with people who do not respect your body. Set boundaries with people who comment on it, who make you feel bad about it. We're at the start of the year, which means new you stuff is kind of everywhere. Weight loss stuff is even more prevalent right now. Tell internet, hit the I do not like this ad button. Unfollow accounts, mute people. You don't have to engage with every single friend or whatever online who's posting weight loss stuff. Like, it's okay to mute people and unfollow. That's all right. If it's really, really bad, you can unfriend them. You do you. And then in your personal life, maybe don't spend so much time with people who make you feel crappy about your body. That's okay too. Like, you are not obligated to consume content that makes you feel bad about yourself. So set some boundaries. I think that's going to help a lot. Let's see, I think that's 3. We've got practicing just stuff with your body that feels authentically you. I was actually, I was just talking to my friend about this. I was telling her how for the longest time I was telling people that I wanted to lift weights. I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. I want to be strong." I love and appreciate women who are out there lifting weights. I think it's really cool. But I just couldn't get myself to do it. And I said, "Oh, well, it's because I'm intimidated by weight rooms." But I don't know, that didn't really sit right either. And then the other day I realized I I just don't want to. I thought that I wanted to. I thought that that was something that I should want, but it was just not authentically me. I'm not a weightlift gym girly. I'm a cardio dance person. I'm a walking person, a hiking person, and that is really it. I don't want to lift weights. And so I shamed myself and I felt guilty for like 2 years because I thought this was something I was supposed to be doing, and that just chips away at body confidence as well. And now I'm like, no, I'm not going to make myself feel bad because there's a style of movement I don't want to do. I'm going to stick with what I know and stick with what I enjoy, and that makes me feel a lot more confident in my body. And then speaking of movement, I think finding exercise or movement that you enjoy can also really help build your body confidence. And I'm not just talking like going to the gym or finding a workout class, although yes, please do those things because that's just really good for our bodies in general. But even stuff just like dancing in the kitchen when you're making dinner or stretching for a couple of minutes during your workday, all of that is really great too. So find some movement, get your body going a little bit, put those muscles to use if you can. Find what feels best for you. Understand that what's good for you is not going to work for someone else. That's cool too. And yeah, move a little bit. That can really help a lot with body confidence. And it's the movement and it's the enjoyment part that is really, really important, not necessarily how that movement changes your body. Okay? Let's keep that in mind too. I think practicing gratitude is really big for body confidence. I feel like this should be a daily habit that everybody does. Focusing on positive aspects of life when you can is really important. It will increase your like resilience and just your positive mindset. So that's a win-win right there. Setting goals for yourself, that's really great. We want to make sure that we have things to, look forward to, and making sure that they're achievable, and it gives us a sense of purpose and accomplishment. And again, it doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be, in my opinion, about changing how our bodies look, but rather kind of the relationship that we have with our body. That I love. And I haven't been keeping track, but I hope we're at 10. Because of course the last one is going to be booking a boudoir shoot. I have seen countless women and people leave my studio with a better relationship to themselves than when they walked in. And it is so cool to see these light bulb moments of like, oh my gosh, I've been so mean to myself for so long. And now that you're looking at images on a screen just from a slightly different perspective, that opens up people's worlds and it changes the way that they think about themselves. It greatly increases confidence. I love it. I think they're totally worth it. So those are going to be my 10 recommendations for building body confidence. And then she also wants to know, what phrases can you use to rewire your thoughts on body neutrality, which is also a really fantastic question. And if you've heard me mention body neutrality but you have no idea what I'm talking about, let me run you through it real quick. Okay? So body neutrality means taking a neutral perspective towards your body. So you don't really have to cultivate a love for your body or feel like you have to love your body every single day, because again, I personally think that that's an unrealistic expectation to put on yourself, and unrealistic expectations lead to failure, which lead to feelings of guilt and the loss of self-worth, and we're just not going to set ourselves up for that. Okay, so body neutrality means you don't have to love your body all of the time, but you still want to live happily and appreciate everything that your body can do. That we love. So you believe that your body exists and it functions, and that's about it, right? It's just there. It's like my body exists in the same way that a tree in my yard exists. It's not like good or bad, it just is. It just is. And that can really open up our lives to a lot of freedom because now we're not constantly thinking about our bodies, which is exhausting. And when we feel neutral about our bodies, then it doesn't really matter what our bodies look like in swimwear or clothing. And it doesn't matter if we fit a beauty aesthetic. It just kind of matters that it exists, right? We don't necessarily have to love that our bodies are maybe covered in scars or dimples or cellulite, but we also don't have to hate it. We can focus on a lot of other things that are just wonderful and important as well. And self-love is wonderful, and I want you to love your body, but for a lot of people, body neutrality is a really excellent starting point. And I think having it along with body love, the two are great, because then on the days where you're like, I do not love how this looks, awesome. Then we have, not awesome, but we have body neutrality as a tool, and that's awesome, because then we can lean on that and go, all right, I don't love how this looks, but it's okay. It just exists. My body is a tree, and we'll move on from there. So how do we get to this place? And like Jennifer's question asks, what phrases can we use to rewire our thoughts? I got you. These are a couple of body neutral affirmations that I came up with, okay? You can tell yourself, I appreciate what my body does for me. And then you can list out things that your body does for you. My body functions as well as it can for me, and I'm grateful for that. That ties back into that gratitude list we talked about, which is something that builds body confidence too. So I'm going to be grateful for my body functioning as best as it can. I feel at home, or I'm working on feeling at home in this body. It is mine, and it is mine alone. I am blessed to have a body unlike anyone else's. My body lets me move, and I enjoy moving it. You can thank your body for something that it's done. Like, for example, thank you, body, for growing my children. If you've had kids, thank your body. Let it know it did a good job. If we're talking about a part of your body that maybe you're struggling to see in a kind way, I would find a function that part performs. So I'll get women who will comment on their bat wings on their arms. And to that, I would say, well, your arms allow you to hug your loved ones. Your arms allow you to carry your children. Those arms allow you to carry a pet. That's pretty cool, right? My body takes care of me, and I appreciate that. My weight has no impact on my worth, and thank you, belly, for fueling me and holding my organs. Another example of maybe a part of your body you don't love super, super much, but you can appreciate the function that it serves. So I appreciate my stomach for fueling me and for keeping in all of my important organs, right? And protecting them. So those are some ideas to kind of get this body neutral journey started for you, okay? I hope that helped. Thank you, Jennifer, for the questions. I hope as we're going through, I've maybe sparked some questions in your mind, and you can do a little bit of research and exploration on what self-love, self-care, body neutrality, body liberation, all that good stuff means to you. And, you're going to grow and build this even better relationship with yourself. And, there's no end point. I wish I could say, like, congrats. It's like a video game. You did it. You saved Peach from the castle. Yay. But there really is no end point. This is an ongoing kind of forever thing. And all we can do is take it day by day and try to be a little bit nicer to ourselves along on the process. And eventually, you're going to be in such a better spot than maybe where you are today, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. Before we get to our babe of the week, if you want to come hang out with me and see what we're up to at the studio, you can find the work that I'm doing at bucksandboudoir.com. You can also find me just about everywhere in social media. Bucks and Boudoir on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Pinterest. And I'll link it all as well so you can easily find me. But yeah, just come see what we're doing. And if you've got questions about boudoir, if you've got questions about self-love or really anything else, and I know the answers to the questions, I will give them to you. So feel free to reach out. Okay, for this week's babe of the week, it's not really one person. It's really kind of a concept. Please don't tell me that I'm cheating. But we just survived the holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, whatever else it was that you celebrated this year. And I find that the folks who really make it happen are moms. Okay? Moms are out there getting it done and making holiday magic. And so while I don't have one specific person to thank, I'm just going to thank moms in general and shout you guys out because you are putting in the work. You are doing a lot. You are thinking of things. You are making things. You are baking goodies. You're cooking food. You're making sure people know where they have to go. You're managing a lot. And it's a big responsibility to undertake, and you make the lives of your children a little bit more special and a little more magical and a little more whimsical, and you guys deserve a shout out. I mean, moms deserve a shout out all of the time, right? But I just really wanted to pat you guys on the back via a podcast recording and let you know you did a good job this year. I hope you had help. I hope other people, especially in your household, maybe a partner if you have one, contributed as well. But you guys really do deserve a lot of credit for making holiday magic, and so much of the responsibility that you all take on. It is truly incredible. And you are all my babes of the week. All right. So good job making it happen. And I hope you can breathe a little bit and that the kids are back at school and maybe you can find a little bit more me time now again. Okay. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate you all being here. And again, I appreciate all of the kind words that were sent to me and my husband in December. It means a lot to us. And I will be back again next week with another episode. I can't wait to chat with you then. Just like always, I'm going to leave you with a reminder that your body is a good body, okay? And you deserve to be kind to it.